We're now in 2026, and somehow Alex Gonzalez's Bugatti Pur Sport is still sitting at auction at Copart. Despite the price tags dropping lower and lower, nobody wants this monster. Not because it isn't fast, not because it isn't rare, but because the problem has never been the car. The problem is Bugatti. Bugatti has made one thing very clear. They don't want to cooperate. They have refused to sell the parts needed to repair the car to Alex fxalexg. Instead, they've given him one option and one option only. Ship the Bugatti back to France and let Bugatti fix it themselves, using their own required parts, their own systems, and their own rules. And when the quote finally came back, it wasn't just expensive, it was out of this world. The kind of number that makes even hypercar owners step back and rethink everything. So Alex backed down. Not because he gave up on the car, and not because it couldn't be fixed, but because the logic no longer made sense. That's when he picked up the phone and called someone who's known for taking on cars nobody else wants to touch, Matt Armstrong. Right now, Matt Armstrong is in Miami. And that's where things start to get interesting. He recently posted something curious on his Instagram page. Just one sentence. Call out boys are on call out. No explanation, no context, no follow-up. Instantly, people started asking questions. Was he there for vacation? Was it another adventure? Or was he quietly checking out problem cars behind the scenes? The kind nobody wants to deal with publicly. Nobody knows for sure. But when you connect the dots, everything starts pointing in one direction. fxalexg's Bugatti Pur Sport. Because this situation isn't just about one broken hypercar. It's about why Bugatti refuses to let individuals or private companies repair their cars once something goes wrong. Why parts are restricted, why diagnostics are locked, and why cars like this Pur Sport don't get rebuilt, but instead get passed around auctions, slowly losing value while remaining mechanically frozen. And if Matt Armstrong really is circling this car, this could be the moment where things shift. Not because the rebuild has started, but because Matt's involvement alone changes the conversation. Bugatti has ignored owners before. They've ignored auction buyers. But ignoring a highly public rebuild creator is different, especially one known for documenting everything. This is where Miami becomes important. Miami isn't random. It's where high-end cars quietly change hands, where deals are discussed before anything is announced, where owners, brokers, insurers, and manufacturers all overlap. If Matt is there, it raises a serious question. Is he just looking? Or is he testing the waters to see whether Bugatti might finally soften their stance? Because here's the reality. Bugatti doesn't have to say yes. They don't need to sell parts. They don't need to approve anything. But they also don't like bad optics. A rare Pur Sport rotting at auction year after year doesn't reflect well on the brand. Neither does the idea that once a Bugatti leaves the factory ecosystem, it becomes untouchable. Matt's presence alone introduces pressure. Not direct pressure, but visibility. And Bugatti understands visibility. This is where Miami becomes important. Miami isn't random. It's where high-end cars quietly change hands. Where deals are discussed before anything is announced. Where owners, brokers, insurers, and manufacturers all overlap. If Matt is there, it raises a serious question. Is he just looking? Or is he testing the waters to see whether Bugatti might finally soften their stance? Because here's the reality. Bugatti doesn't have to say yes. They don't need to sell parts. They don't need to approve anything. But they also don't like bad optics. A rare Pur Sport rotting at auction year after year doesn't reflect well on the brand. Neither does the idea that once a Bugatti leaves the factory ecosystem, it becomes untouchable. Matt's presence alone introduces pressure. Not direct pressure, but visibility. And Bugatti understands visibility. Let's be clear about what we're dealing with here. Bugatti doesn't operate like other manufacturers. They don't just build cars and walk away. They control every single aspect of their vehicle's existence. From the moment a Bugatti leaves the factory floor, it remains tethered to Molsheim through an invisible but unbreakable chain. Parts? You can't just order them. Tools? Proprietary and locked behind dealer networks. Software? Encrypted and protected by layers of security that would make intelligence agencies jealous. Even if you have the money, even if you have the expertise, even if you have the best intentions, Bugatti decides whether your car gets fixed or not. This isn't paranoia. This is documented reality. Independent shops have tried, wealthy collectors have demanded access, insurance companies have pushed back, and every single time Bugatti has held firm. Their cars, their rules, their ecosystem, no exceptions. Until now, maybe. Somewhere in the background of this entire saga sits a car that nobody wants to talk about. Their brand isn't just about speed or luxury. It's about being untouchable, unreachable, uncompromising. But there's a flip side to that image. When one of your cars sits damaged and unsellable for months, rotting at auction after auction with zero interest, that's not a good look either. It suggests fragility. It suggests that once something goes wrong, these cars become worthless. It contradicts everything Bugatti wants people to believe about the longevity and value of their vehicles. So why Miami? Why now? Because Miami is where these conversations happen. Not in boardrooms, not in legal offices, but in private lounges at high-end car events, at exclusive gatherings where the people who actually make decisions are present and accessible, where a casual introduction can lead to a phone call, which leads to a meeting, which leads to a deal. If Matt is in Miami, he's not there to look at cars through glass. He's there because doors might be opening, because conversations might be happening, because someone, somewhere in Bugatti's carefully controlled world, might be willing to consider something they've never considered before. This doesn't mean Bugatti is going to suddenly become cooperative. It doesn't mean they're going to hand over parts catalogs and service manuals and wish Matt good luck, but it might mean they're willing to negotiate, to set conditions, to find a middle ground where the car gets fixed, the owner gets relief, and Bugatti maintains enough control to protect their brand. If Bugatti decides to allow this rebuild to happen, it won't be simple, it won't be cheap, and it definitely won't be unrestricted. They'll likely impose conditions. Maybe Matt has to use Bugatti-approved technicians for certain procedures. Maybe certain repairs have to happen at authorized facilities. Maybe Bugatti retains veto power over modifications or substitutions. Maybe they require documentation of every step, every part, every decision. But even under those restrictions, if Bugatti agrees to sell parts, everything changes. The car becomes viable again. The auction becomes interesting. Buyers who walked away suddenly take another look because the impossible just became possible. And beyond this one car, the implications ripple outward. If Matt can successfully rebuild a Chiron Pur Sport with Bugatti's begrudging cooperation, it establishes precedent. It proves that these cars aren't disposable nightmares once something goes wrong. It demonstrates that with the right approach, the right relationships, and the right visibility, even Bugatti's walls can develop cracks. But what if Bugatti says no? What if they dig in, refuse to cooperate, and maintain their absolute position that independent rebuilds will never be tolerated? Then this Pur Sport stays exactly where it is, parked, untouched, depreciating. A cautionary tale that reinforces everything people fear about owning exotic cars. A reminder that in Bugatti's world, you don't really own your car. You're just a temporary custodian who exists at their pleasure. And Matt walks away. The owner stays stuck. Whether Bugatti cooperates fully, partially, or not at all will determine what happens next. But one way or another, an answer is coming, sooner than anyone expects. And when it does, we'll know whether this damaged Pur Sport represents the beginning of a new era for independent Bugatti rebuilds, or whether it becomes another permanent reminder of what happens when you exist outside the factory's blessing. The clock is ticking. Miami has the stage, and everyone is waiting to see if Bugatti blinks first.